And of course, I hope you're all ready now, and we can all give a round of applause to Tara and welcome her.
Oh, thank you all so very much for using this modern technology for me to be able to teach this class. I'm actually in DC and was very afraid about getting out and coming back, and so we're using modern day technology to see how this works. But it's my pleasure, and thank you all so much for being here this morning. I'm really all about marketing. That's in my background in the private sector for years before I started with Arlington County. I hold it near and dear, marketing, because it's advertising. It's getting the word out of your business and using really creative tools and creative ways to be able to communicate a brand or a message that you have about your business. So I get really excited about advertising and marketing. It's a really good way to get information out, and it's much different than what it used to be. I think about currently there's so many opportunities for businesses. You can be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. There's so many different ways that you can communicate with your customers. And exactly what those plans look like, and sharing, and social media in and of itself is social. It's about being with people, being together, and constantly on. But with your business, I think it's really about sharing information, not only about what it is that you have and what you can offer to your customers, but also kind of an experience, a lifestyle, and who you are. And it's all about that kind of social experience that you have and that you bring to the table. One of the interesting things, I started thinking back on my career and how I got started and really the interest that I have in advertising. And I started thinking about Mad Men. And the reason being I was thinking about Mad Men is because they were the quintessential advertisers of their day. It was the way you did advertising. You have a group of creative, and a lot of times it was men. I think they came full circle at the end of the show. But men coming together to talk about business and how they can promote and advertise business in a really super cool, hip way. And so the campaigns and some of the way businesses communicated with their customers, there were a lot of jingles. It was really, really interesting and interactive with people. But what's really interesting is that it's all about, and I think Don Draper says it really well, it's all about advertising is based on one thing, and that's happiness. And he says, and do you know what happiness is? It's the smell of a new car. It's freedom from fear. It's a billboard on the side of the road that screams with reassurance that wherever you're going, it's going to be okay and that you're okay. And I think that's true for today. I think advertising really is, and when you're talking about your company, it's making things easier for people. It's bringing about a sense that what I'm doing is right, and if I have this product or service, it's going to make my life and make me happier. So I think some of those philosophies and with advertising really relates with social media and how you kind of bring that into the fabric of your business. And so, some of the things that we used to do was a lot of paid advertising. There were a lot of print, radio, TV, and billboard ads, and it was very, very expensive. When I started out in marketing and advertising, we did a lot of direct mail campaigns. And direct mail campaigns, we had our formula down, when we would send it out, what time of the year, what the packaging looked like, how people would open it and what they would see, and what type of return on investment or action that we wanted that would convert this into a sale. And so I think that was very expensive, very cost prohibitive, and some of the campaigns that we did were very ritualistic in the timing and how we did it, and it was very complex. But as we look into modern day times, and we think of Game of Thrones, winter is coming. Are you on Team Stark? Are you on your team business? In 2015, things are different. They're the same, and yet they're different. And And in today's advertising philosophy and with the use of social media, it is highly individualized. It's very minimal. You know, everything is done in 140 characters or less, very short bites, but really content, the information is really, there's fabric of nuances that you can share. Things are very virtual. People are on the go. So you're using your phone, you're on your PC. What does that look like? What does your branding look like? What does that convey? Is your message consistent? It's also the great equalizer because it makes you accessible to your target market or to your customers. It has an ability, or you have an ability to go viral. You know, things that resonate that are out there. This is much different than how things were in the past. Very different. The means to the end is different, but I think the means are the same. How do we get customers and convert those customers using modern day tools and technologies in order to build your business? And I think that's the most important thing to think about as you think about designing and developing your strategy. So you started your business, and what type of social media strategy do you use? Is everybody on social media for their business that's in the room? Yes. Yes. And so you've reserved the names on the different, your name, your business name on the different platforms?
No, we're not on. No, so people are saying,
no.
People are saying yes.
Okay. So there is a website called namecheck.com, which you'll see on the bottom of this slide, and you can reserve, even if you don't think Snapchat is for you, or you're not quite sure how you would use Facebook. Namecheck.com is a place, it's a clearinghouse where you can put in your name, and I recommend reserving your name, even if you don't think you're going to use that platform, because if you find that your customers are, you can access it and use it right away. And so you want to be really deliberate. There's an interesting, there's some interesting new facts about use of social media in the United States. Of Americans, 73% of people use at least one social media platform. So you really want to make sure that your business is there, because it's more than the majority at this point. It's like everybody's on, and if you're not there, and if you're not on the right platforms where your customers are, it can be a real challenge for you. And so as we delve deep and go further, you know, what social media is for your business, the next couple of slides are just tidbits that I've taken from using social media. I try to do it fairly regularly, but it's not what you've had for breakfast this morning and every morning. Usually what people want is, you know, they like interesting food, but maybe not every day at 9 o'clock I share that information with you. I can share personalized information, but it should really be of substance and something that's kind of relative to the work it is that I'm doing. So it's not always those pictures. You don't want to find yourself the water cooler conversation. It's great to have things go viral, but you want to go viral in a positive way. You don't want to be that conversation in businesses or in homes the next day for the wrong reasons. We always, in advertising and marketing, we always talk about, you know, if what I do hits the Post, the Washington Post, what would they write about me? So you always want to be really careful about how you brand and the things you use and the things you say, because it's really important, because that's the image that you will leave with your customers. And I always find that people resonate when you smile. You know, people resonate when you have a positive message that's coming out there. And if you're using different platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, that this message permeates about you. And if there are tools and things that you kind of position yourself where you're the subject matter expert and you're helping others, that this is a great way to kind of position yourself in the social media arena. It's not always wholesome either. You know, I'll see a lot of tweets. I use Twitter a lot, and I'll see things that say, you know, come to my event, or look what's on my website, or join me for this and that. And really what you want to do is not just ho-hum. You want to think, if I'm receiving or the recipient of this information, what resonates with me? What would resonate with my customers? How can I make this information interesting? So really kind of thinking about your strategy and your process that you go through. Because in all actuality, a great social media campaign, it has the right shape. Like, say, for example, it's an apple. You can see an apple here. And the apple looks juicy and delicious. But how do you stand out and make that apple pop so that your customers notice you, so that influencers notice you that are online that can help? An influencer could be a financial institution. It could be someone that has great influence in your industry sector that you've reached out and you've connected with. And you're creating these campaigns to help people help you get your message out. So I think that's a great media social campaign. Is also, you know it when you see it. You feel it, you know. And what, at the end of the day, you really want to get a return on investment. All the work that you're creating for your campaign, you want to get a return on investment. And right now, currently, according to HubSpot, 71% of social media sales are converted online versus your standard print, your standard, listing and yellow book, some of the things that we used to do. That return on investment has increased. And it's a platform to get people to go to your website, to go to your Facebook page, to see and do, and cause them to do an action. One of the things that I've noticed in the last year, I've been using social media since about 2007, fairly frequently. And since then, if you don't have that presence online, you're really not there. Most people want to go and check out businesses on Yelp. They want to check out businesses on Instagram. They want to see what other customers have written about you or your product. If it's doing business with a government agency, I know when I've either worked on hiring an employee or worked on, okay, I'm going to do business with this person, what's their online presence say? And so really that presence and that branding kind of sticks with you. And so what do some of these aspects look like? It really is the timing. When you send out tweets, when you post information, are your customers aware, and will they be online at that time? Is it relevant? This goes back to the industry sector that you're in. If you're in technology, that the majority of the information that you're posting has a technology flair. If you're a restaurant and it's about food, maybe I don't want to hear any social or political leanings. I want to know all about the food. So it's apples to apples in the messaging, and it's consistent, and it's something that you stand apart from your customers because they're getting information that they can't get elsewhere. And really understanding your target audience. Millennials are different than baby boomers, different than Generation X. We're online, but how we access that information is different. If you're looking at targeting a specific age range of people, making sure that you're online and the messaging is relevant to them. And there's a lot of market research tools that we offer within BizLaunch that are free, that can kind of get to some of these market research data that can kind of pinpoint, because you want to be as specific and deliberate. It's a little bit of Mad Men mixed in with some other things that you have to be thinking about, and repetitive over and over again. So that traditional marketing never really goes away, but the platforms that are used to outreach to your customers change. So once you start thinking about that and the different platforms that you can use for business, I would say a lot of them are extremely relevant. Facebook, LinkedIn, eBlogger, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, Vine, YouTube, these are all ways that you can interact. I know personally when I'm marketing, I look at my program, BizLaunch, as a way to market to you all as entrepreneurs. So what I do is I put on my hat for entrepreneurship and I say, what are some of the hashtags that entrepreneurs are using? What are some of the ways and means? What are some of the platforms that they're jumping into that I can be a part of. One of the things I used to be really hesitant about was doing paid ads or paid to get likes. And I'm kind of moving away from that, and I'm actually putting budget aside. My team and I, for the last year or two, have actually done paid advertising for certain events that we're putting on, or certain information that we want to get out to the public. And so we've actually started dabbling in that, and that's been very, very useful to us. But how do your clients best interact with you? It's really important. So some of the things that you can do, begin to audit your own reputation. Google yourself. See what things that are out there that you find about you and your company. Develop a plan and have KPIs where you're really looking at your key performance indicators before you start a campaign. What type of success are you looking for? How many people do you want to outreach? Of those people, how many folks are you going to convert into a sale? So being really deliberate rather than letting things happen. Sometimes with some of these very professional campaigns, it seems as if it's natural and it's just happened, but it really takes deliberate timing on the part of the entrepreneur, deliberate understanding of the process and how that information is going to be accessed and what you're looking to get. You know, you're really starting to build your roadmap and your strategy behind social media. Generating content that's new or repurposing. I always find that Inc.com has amazing information for entrepreneurs. That information is free. They have a lot of videos. Every time I retweet or I send their content and information, I get a huge hit, you know, of people retweeting, because I'm constantly analyzing and looking, is this working? So I just don't want that information to lay out there. I want it to be social. I also want to be able to respond to my clients in a timely fashion. So I'll check and make sure that if somebody sent me something, that I respond to it that day. Maybe sometimes it's hard to respond in that hour, but if it goes 3 weeks, then it's not relevant anymore. And then people are saying, well, they're not really engaged in, maybe they're not interested. And you want to make sure that the content that you're creating is new, it's fresh, and using a lot of video, pictures, selfies, getting that out there, things that are of interest. And really looking and determining which platforms make the most sense. I find LinkedIn to be extremely useful. It's a great way. People are there for professional information. People share a lot of content and information, and they take it really seriously. I get a lot of shares and a lot of information resent when I use LinkedIn. It's faster sometimes than even Facebook. I think Facebook is socially, it's great, and it's good for word of mouth, but I find that in the spot that we're in, LinkedIn, and I think some of the stats that you see here on this slide kind of, you know, support that assumption that I have. So where do you start? You know, you want to be able to build, engage, measure, and refine. And this is a continual process. It just doesn't happen one time, but you go through these steps continually. You want to build your reputation, and this is where LinkedIn comes in handy, and I'll show some examples as we go through the presentation, but it's really important to get people to endorse you, to get people, your customers, to say why they like you. It's great to have content and to become the subject matter expert in your field, because then you'll find that the media wants to talk to subject matter experts. They want to talk to people that understand the industry sector. So to be able to connect those dots is extremely important. This will echo across all platforms. And there are different types of tools that you can use so that you're not updating each platform, but you're doing it seamlessly through all the platforms to outreach. Because like I said, not everybody's getting that information the same way. So somebody on Twitter might not be on LinkedIn, but you're connecting all of those dots with that same message that goes out in these variety of platforms. You also want to be passionate about what it is that you do. You want to convey to people that you're excited about this new product, this new service. You know, I think of Apple. Apple does a great job when they do, you know, they just recently released some of their new technology. And it's not ho-hum. It's, you know, we've got this wonderful thing. Even if it's repurposing some of the things that they're doing, they are able to generate excitement, generate buzz. I also look at how, you know, Disney now has Star Wars. And I know I'm doing a lot of movie analogies today, but Disney has Star Wars. And all the various platforms that they're using to target people that were original Star Wars fans to people of today, and all of the merchandising that they're doing, utilizing various platforms. But it all looks seamless. When we see it, we know what it is. And you'll see that the more you come out there, the more you do, the more you request from some of these influencers, that you are then part of this group of people that folks will turn to. And it's social, it's about connectedness, and then returning things into sales. So ROI, what does that look like? Okay. So 5 questions about you. And this is when you will also want to be extremely actualized about yourself. How are you currently perceived in the market? What are the goals that you want to get out of what it is that you're doing? This is how you're shaping your voice. What are your top 3 areas of expertise? What do you bring to the table as you describe your business, and that business is you, right? What are the personal branding resources do you have, and what is it that you're passionate about? These are things that I would write down and I would have, so that you're building that kind of voice that's authentic to you and that conveys out in the social media planosphere. And some etiquette, we always talk about do's and don'ts. I'm always very positive on social media, and I have a personal belief that if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. But to be actively engaged and to really listen to what people are saying, sometimes it's hard when you get something and you assume maybe one thing, but really listen to what your customers are saying. Be as professional as you are in person as you would be online. Talk about your personal goals, your passions, things that have been challenging to you. Share with others. People will share back. Work with your Tier 1 contacts. These are the people that you know that you can outreach to that can help you dig deep into Tier 2 and Tier 3 as you expand your network of influence. Do stand out by sharing your expertise and your point of view, especially on topics that you have a lot of information and experience in. And do post content consistently, not just once a month, once a week, but, you know, have information that's constantly changing and that's being updated. Some of the things that you don't want to do is just be self-promotional. It is a sharing platform, so sharing of information. Don't pitch yourself, but really engage in conversations. You know, oh, wow, I didn't know this about X or O, or what do you all think about this? You know, and have a conversation. Sometimes the personal, like what we had for breakfast this morning, gets kind of played after a while. So you want to make sure that the content is relevant. Don't create a private profile. Check your account settings. So making sure that when you go out there and you're using social media, you don't get send private things to the masses. That's very, very important. The information that you want to share, you want to make sure that when you go in and you set things up, that you have that done in a way where you're not sending stuff to everyone. One of the things that we get is, you know, how do you deal with negativity? I never personally, if somebody has said something negative online, I don't choose to take it off, because to me it's like I'm negating what it is. I either engage if I really believe it's something that we can talk about. Sometimes I just let it sit there. If you know, a person just wants to get their feelings out about a particular thing, but really try to close the loop if it's something, especially if they're not happy with a program or a service that we're offering, not just to leave that on the table, and just being very positive, and making it, don't make it personal. I actually did a tweet up a few years ago, and the rant went on. It was almost like a Donald Trump thing. It went on for 10 to 12 hours after the fact, and they were using a particular hashtag, and this stuff kind of lives. I always say, hey, let's take this online. Maybe we could meet for coffee if they're local. Maybe we could chat about this, or why don't we talk about this topic more? But don't take things personally, and just try to keep moving the conversation on. So I think that's really, really important. And then measuring those results, really looking and making sure that you're hitting that right target audience. Looking month to month to make sure that your audience is increasing, that it just hasn't plateaued. Are you refreshing your content? Making sure that, and this is true with marketing in general, that you're not just doing things just to do them, but it really is giving you a return on investment. As tools and strategies change, making sure you're up with those changes and that your website and everything reflects that information, and being really engaged and having conversations, talking with people. And then I think from there, your impact and your effectiveness really increases over time. So that consistency and being on point at all times is really important. So how do you track that? We use a lot of measurement tools ourselves. You can use tweet reach on Twitter. Hootsuite also provides statistics. I think Twitter now, as well as Facebook, really gives you some awesome analytics. When I did the paid advertising on Facebook, one of the things, you can really narrow down your target audience from geographic location to age to interest. So in someone's news feed, up will pop your sponsored ad, and it'll get to people that are really interested in the topic that you're talking about. What I did was, not only did I look to see, well, how many more people like Biz Launch on Facebook, but I could see when that message was clicked on, what time, how many people, socioeconomic information. I mean, it's a little scary how much information you can get. But these are all details that you want to be able to use as you're developing more campaigns, and if it makes sense. I use Tweet Reach every time I do a tweet up, and it really gives me great statistics on how many impressions we've had, how many people have interacted with tweets. And a lot of this information that you see here on this slide, a lot of this is free. If you pay, you get even more data and analytics, but then at a certain point, it's too extreme, and you just want to be able to make some key decisions swiftly with the information that they're providing. Next, I'm going to go into some of the best practices, some of my favorite local businesses and what they've done to set up their social media, and how they're able to increase their following and converting those leads into sales. One group that I have been following from the very beginning is District Taco. I think they are amazing. Has anybody had their tacos?
No.
Oh my gosh, you should. Look, I am a shameless ad because I follow them on Twitter all the time. And if you can see on their banner, these are their tacos. They're fresh, they're beautiful, they're delicious, and they're consistent. They started off as a food truck. They built their business. The owner was actually, he had been unemployed for almost a year and started the food truck, got an investment from a neighbor, was on Twitter. And I think he would let people know exactly where he was on Twitter. And he developed this huge audience of people where there were sightings of the District Taco truck. They're going to be in Roslyn or Boston or downtown, and people would actually follow, their customers follow them pretty frequently. But they were able to be extremely successful because of their responsive rate. They no longer have carts or trucks. He has about six permanent brick and mortars in DC and in Arlington now. And it's the growth, and I really believe that the owner, Osiris Hoyle, did a great job. If you look at some of the tweets that he uses, it's very personal. A customer of theirs had tweeted, she misses him, misses District Taco, haven't been there, oh, how we miss you. And he immediately responds, a few minutes later, we missed you too, amiga. I mean, and that's priceless. You don't expect a tweet that you send that the owner is going to get back in touch with you. So it's this personalized, it has the information, how to reach, where his main location is, which is off of Lee Highway. I can see exactly where the truck was. This was from yesterday, and they want to know, okay, when is your Roslyn location going to open? And so they immediately respond back. If a customer says something positive, they answer in Spanish, ole, So they are automatically, constantly updating and on there. Now, sometimes we're not always there, but you're actually training your customers to understand and to get information that they wouldn't be able to from a stagnant website account. Next is Reston Limousine. I believe that the owner does an amazing job of personalizing. She also started as a small business in Fairfax County doing government contracting, and she really gets the use of social media. She uses a variety of different platforms, and I believe she uses those platforms because of the vast variety of audiences that she has. She sells to the government sector, she sells to the private sector, and she sells to other businesses, transportation services. So the first thing you see on the Facebook page, of course, is a Reston Limousine. This is our bread and butter. This is what we're about. She shares some personal information. Reston, the founder of Reston, passed away, Robert Simon, and she's got information that's the personal. Then she talks about, are you going to the mall? Consider using that. So there's all different types of things. They're on Instagram. You can sign up for their newsletter, and this is all on the first half of the website. All the great content and information that me as a customer is right there. And if I'm following Reston, this will come up in my news feed. And I think the information that she has here is really good, and has asked her customers to review. So 4.4 stars out of 5. Sometimes I'll see that people will put information up, like a Facebook page, but won't allow people to make comments. And I think that with this sharing, we talked about in the other slide, you have to let people share content and even information. Don't be afraid for people to participate with social media. This is her Twitter account. She does a newsletter that comes out, I believe, weekly. And so that update she uses primarily on her Twitter. So when that comes out, and then she thanks people because she'll get content from folks that she follows. And she's actually shared stories that we've had. I want to follow her because I know she has really great information about business. Even though she's a limo bus company, she does a really good job in sharing entrepreneurial information, and she's an influencer. So I want to make sure that I follow her as well, and that I can get really good information that I can retweet or share. They're also on LinkedIn. The content and the information here is a little bit different if you take a look at the page. It's more, I think, personally, I believe some of it's geared towards more of the federal sector. So it has the same voice, same content information, same sharing, but it's a little bit different for the business. And so it's interesting to kind of see how utilization of different platforms, but being very specific to that target market. And when you look at some of these best practices that Christina's done, you can really delve and see how her target market might be different based on the platforms that she uses. Dana Theus is actually part of our Economic Development Council. She's the president and CEO of a company called InPower Consulting. So she does a lot of leadership work, and her content is amazing. So if you Send her a request. I'm sure she'll follow you. She gives a lot of great free information to entrepreneurs and how leaders should be. And so a lot of the content that she has in the upper quadrant are all the things that she's published that's linked into her blog, so that if I'm following Dana, I get this information right away. Very great description of what it is that she does and where she's been and the information that she does. Also, all of where she's published is on that upper half as well. Everything that she's participated in, causes that she's done. So if I wanted to network or reach out to her, I can see exactly everything is laid out so nicely and so well. And that her peers, she's asked her peers and has gotten or received endorsements with strategy, leadership development, entrepreneurship. And I think the way she has her page set up, it's done really, really well. And these are some great examples, I think, that you can take and utilize for your own company. Johannes Watt, he is probably the best LinkedIn person I know. You may decide to pay from a premium, to get a premium account with them or keep it free. Personally, I don't pay for it. I, just reach out to people if I want to be linked in with them and share a lot of good content and information. But Johannes has set up his page in such a way where he's updating content. So he has anything that's been published by him up there. All of his publications he's actually put in as his background. So you can see that all laid out really nicely. And so he also offers, if you're linked in with him, you get to see some free LinkedIn video courses that he has on how to use LinkedIn to get business. And I think he's really, really good at it. He was just on Channel 7 talking tips, and that's on his website as well. And really being able to share and get content and information. And I believe the way it's done in such a way where it's interesting. I don't feel like I'm being sold to. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this great information, and maybe we can share some things, or I can get some tips and learn from him, and then pay it forward, right? Blogs are very important. I think blogs are great because it's a good way to get content and information and to establish yourself as a subject matter expert. One business that I really admire in Arlington, it's a blog called All Now. They started out very, modest. They were repurposing information about all things that were going on in the county. It's expanded so much that everybody, including county people, including others, gets all of its information from All Now. It's great for business intelligence. I always tell everybody, go to this website. And with that, the way they make money is through advertising, because I know 10,000 people are going to go on the site. So on the right-hand side, you'll see all of the paid advertisements that's supporting the blog and supporting the people. I think they have now about 3 staff that work there, but it is a very influential blog that we have in the county, and they are repurposing information that's out there. But they also have a segment on their blog where they say, send us your tips. There's something going on in Arlington that no one else knows, email us and we'll investigate. So there's that option. Connect with us. They have little plugs where you can connect with them online. And so I think the business owner does a really great job in getting information, relevant information. They're changing it constantly because their audience is constantly looking for information that not everybody else knows. And they have a platform where people can make comments. The comments aren't always very nice, but you can always delete the ones that are very, very snarky or troll-like. But I think being able to change content and information fairly frequently is also important to drive people to cause an action. I love this example because a lot of times people, when you talk about blogs, people think that it has to be like 20 paragraphs with all kinds of content and all kinds of information in there. And that's not the truth. I think everybody is moving so quickly We're all on our phones all the time. We want to get information fast. We want to be able to read a headline, read some words so that we are up on what's going on. The same is true for your business. It's got to have some key relevant words. It's got to draw me in. It's got to be warm and inviting, divided up in section headers, no more than 1,000 words. Nobody's going to read more than that. Short, sweet, and relevant. And so this graphic that was posted by a blog, HubSpot, I've given you the link for it, has, if you click on it, you can get even more details as to how the blog should look. And always using photography or video or like a Vine, because there people can jump in and see what it is that you're talking about. It's visually pleasing. It's not just words. And so some of the things to think about, two social media tips. This came from T.A. McCann, and I love this. It's called the 5-3-2 rule. So every 10 posts of whatever you do, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform it is that you're using, 5 social media posts should be based on information from others that are relevant to your target market. So you're providing content that your customers want to know about, but it's coming from somebody else, like an Inc.com or an Entrepreneur.com, and you're providing stuff that your audience hasn't seen but is relevant. 3 are non-sales related posts based on information that is relevant to your audience. So it might be an upcoming program that's happening. Hey, entrepreneurs, this awesome social media workshop is coming up. Join now. Nobody knows about it. So it's not like you're pitching your business to convert into a sale. And then 2 personal posts that aren't business related and help humanize you and your brand. Example of that could be, good morning, everybody, the post in town. Hope you made it into work fine. Something that's relevant, that resonates with people, but it isn't like, okay, I had coffee and cereal this morning and da, 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 da. It's really entertaining. It gets you. I really like T.A. McCann. He provides a lot of awesome resources for entrepreneurs in the social media sphere. If you take a look at the website here, it's not in the packet, but tamccann.com, you'll find some excellent tips on how to use LinkedIn, how to use social media for business. Very relevant and really good stuff. Some of the takeaways that I have personally, and these are things that I do each and every day, is I try to use social media daily, 5 to 10 minutes. I go on there, I make sure that somebody's reached out to me, I reach back out to them. I'm getting new contacts. The 5-3-2 I think is great. So that there's specific times that you want to post up certain information. You could use a platform like Hootsuite, so you don't have to be on your phone all the time, but you're putting this information in to go out at a certain time. Use your voice or the voice of the business so that it sounds like you, and so that people say, oh, that really does sound like Tara or something that she would say. Being consistent, not all over the place and just throwing spaghetti at the wall, but consistent in your message and in your branding and what it is that you talk about. Make sure that your customers are going back to your website, driving traffic to increase sales. Have them do an action or an activity, not just talking at them. It really is quality versus quantity. I know a lot of people like to have a lot of likes. Oh man, I got 1 million likes. But there could be 1 million people that really don't convert into sales or aren't interested in what it is that you're doing. You want to make sure that it's quality followers, people that are going to buy your product or service, people that are going to help you grow your business and not just time wasters. So I strongly believe in that. You can have fewer people involved in something, but their impact is much more tangible. Do it and do it well. That strategy that I've been alluding to, and being proactive about things, not reactive. So if there's something coming out, you have a new technology, being very deliberate with your customers that this is happening, This is the time frame. Not one day, you know, cut off the lights and turn them back on. That scares people. You want to make sure that you're being responsive at all times and that you're behind the wheel driving this activity and nobody else is. And being responsive. Like I said, you know, if you wait 5 or 6 weeks to send out information, people are like, you know, hello, are you there? You know, so you want to make sure that you are responsive and that you're interacting with that. So thank you all so much. I hope that you found this information informative. I'm really looking forward to any questions that you have of me. Definitely ask you to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We're here. I really like to bring value to you all. I don't want to send things out that aren't relevant, so I do the ask to follow us. And I guess I can go right on into the Q&A session.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tara. Let me see who has questions, and I'll try to go in order.
I just want to know what was the guy.
Oh, could you come here close to the computer?
Hi. Question for her? I just wanted to know, you showed a young man's LinkedIn page, and Johannes. What is the last name?
What's the last name of the person you showed his LinkedIn page? Okay.
Watt. Johannes Watt.
Okay. Watts? Yes, it's right. It's Yuhannes, and last name Watts.
Spell first name again, please.
Y-U.
Say it again.
Y-U-H-A-N-N-E-S. You're welcome. Okay, next one. Next. Show one more. One more of the those slides that wasn't printed. Okay, Tara, will you show us the slide that we didn't get a printout of?
532 rule.
The 532 rule.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry I added that at 11 o'clock. I was like, that's a good one to have up in there.
Okay, well, I guess it'll take some time to write down the info. Let's see, okay, I have another question.
So on your roadmap slide, you mentioned that you get a lot of shares when you do what on Facebook? You find that you get a lot of shares, but there was a fire truck passing at the time.
Well, oh, I missed that.
Oh, can you come closer?
Repeat her question. Repeat it.
Yes.
Page 8.
On page, he has a question about page 8 where it says your roadmap.
Oh, I didn't. Can I get it real quick? I'm just it was when
That's right there.
1 second.
Yes. So there was a truck passing at the time. You said you get a lot of shares on Facebook when you do something. What was that?
Oh, I get a lot of shares. Usually with the content is when I post pictures, but also when I started doing the paid advertising. I wasn't doing the paid advertising, and not many people were coming to the site that I wanted to come, and I wasn't hitting some of those key people. So once I started paying, and it's to me it's really affordable. I could do, like for my last networking event that I did, I paid $20 to advertise for a week, and I got so many more shares when I did that because it was going directly to my target market than I did when I wasn't paying. Because what I found was when I put pictures up, I get a lot of juicy shares. Like, people love the pictures, and especially like if they see themselves in the pictures or see somebody they know. But then I was finding that I would only get 60 or 70 likes. So then once I started doing paid advertisement, it would go up to the 1,000. And it was my target because people would like it or share that information.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, what's the next question? The slide. Do you mind putting that other slide again, the 532 rule?
321.
532.
Yes.
532.
There you go.
532.
Right.
Right there.
Thanks. Okay. Okay, what's the next question?
Was it ink or link?
She said ink.com. Is it INC or INK?
On which
Ask her
website?
what ink.com.
Which advertising page did you say they're saying? Is it
Was it
LinkedIn or
Is it ink? No, INC.
is it ink.com or?
Oh, yes. Ink.com is excellent information for entrepreneurs. They do a lot of studies and research, and I find that a lot of the information is really content-driven versus advertising, and that it's relevant information. So whenever I send anything out from Inc. or entrepreneur.com, I get a lot more hits because the information and the way they present the information is done really, really well. And they use a lot of videos, too. And they'll have people like, you know, some of the Shark Tank guys, like Mark Cobain is on there talking about the importance of entrepreneurship. And you get these vignettes of content information that you can share on your own network that's relevant to others. So finding like who those influencers are within your sphere and then resending that information is really, really good. And
Okay,
you want to follow people like that too.
And how do you spell it? INC or?
Yes, inc.com.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? Sure. Our website?
Yeah.
What's the website to find tips on how to use social media?
Oh, tamccain.com, the one that I have up here now.
Right there on the slide.
Oh, I see.
Any other questions? Okay.
TAMCCANN.
I would also follow him on Twitter too. He's got really great tips and information on social media.
Okay, I have another, there's another question. Okay.
So, Tara, what do you propose for those of us who are, I mean, I don't know what stage everybody is in terms of starting a business, but social media can be a job in and of itself.
Exactly.
And if that's not your focus, like your focus is on, you know, the business and helping entrepreneurs in this. But if you have a product that's completely unrelated and you're trying to get on social media to promote it, that's a job. That can be a full-time job. So how do you advise managing and minimizing the amount of time that you spend on social media?
Yes.
Still promoting your business, but you're not taking away from your core business or core service. You understand?
That's a great question. And I think it's a battle that a lot of people have every day is like figuring out what I would recommend, and I know that works for me, is whatever program or service or product that I have, think of it as part of your marketing plan and design it so that you have a project timeline where, say, I'm just throwing this out there, a lot of social media content that hits on Sundays during football season does really, really well. People see it, right? So if you program that every Sunday at 4:30, you put into Hootsuite information that you want to convey to your customers, you can schedule all that. So say you take once a week where you're actually putting in things each of the different days and you're controlling the message. And so that way it's not like you're throwing content in all the time, but you're being proactive and you're managing that content. And then what you want to do is just check once a day to see if the customers have responded to it. Or like if you have messages on whichever platform it is that your customers are buying. That's where it becomes you're controlling the wheel versus somebody else. And what content. The fear that I have is if you don't do that much, and this isn't part of your toolkit, is that when people go to Google search you that want to be your customer and client and your presence isn't really there, and like when I see people online and they haven't posted anything in a year, I'm like, are they in business? Or, I question, oh, the last time they said something was 3 months ago. So having that kind of where the consistency and the plan is in place, and I use my planner a lot. I use my Outlook calendar. So the things that I want to get done, I have it as a deadline. Monday at 12 every day. We send out an e-blast every Wednesday by noon to all of our clients. Now, no matter what's going on, I know that e-blast is going to go out. And if I haven't changed that content, I don't want to lose relevancy. So what I do is in my calendar, I put key times that things are due so that I can still be really strategic and that the content is refreshing.
Okay, thanks. Any other question? It seems, okay, one more. Sorry?
What is an e-blast?
What's an e-blast?
We actually, something that I do with BizLaunch is anytime anybody comes to a workshop or to an event that we do, we get their email. And then we upload their emails into a database, and we send anything, we highlight our businesses on our blog. So if you come through BizLaunch Doors, we'll blog about you. We'll put that in the e-newsletter. We'll also put up relevant events, and we want to start posting content information as well. That goes out once a week to about 5,000 clients that we have. And we change that content every week with new stories. Now, sometimes life gets in the way, and we just don't have time to change the content. So we'll let things run 2 weeks in a row sometimes, but I try to change the subject line or try to make some of the information different so that people don't think it's the same stuff, because I don't want people to find the content to be irrelevant.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? I think we are all done then. And to conclude, Tara, I think we don't have any more questions, but we really appreciate for this presentation, and we look forward to working with you again.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you so much for coming out, too.
Thanks, and thank you to all the attendees as well.